What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. I'm Kevin Duffy, this is Duffy Geeks Out, and I'm coming at you with my review of Episode 3 of The Rings of Power. I am loving this show so far, guys. I said in my last review that as far as, being a Tolkien fan, I've read The Hobbit, I've read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm actually listening to the Silmarillion right now on Audible, and I gotta say, the front of this video, I know there's a lot of Tolkien purists out there kind of trashing this for being an original story and claiming that there was plenty of story for them to have adapted. But if the history of Middle-earth is anything like the Silmarillion book, then I don't know what the hell you guys are complaining about, because that book, the Silmarillion, is literally just a oral history of Middle-earth. That's all it is. It's literally like a historical record. It has events, it has what happened, and it's narrated in such a sense. There's very little dialogue, and it jumps around so much between the different ages and what's happened in different parts. And no matter whatever they did to adapt this series would have so much created content that would need to go into to make it an actual show or movie. There's not enough there for them to actually flush out a story. It's not like The Hobbit, it's not like The Lord of the Rings, where there is a narrative story with dialogue and events in a sequential order like that. There's just not enough. Whoever adapted the Silmarillion, if you were adapting the Silmarillion as it was right now, you would need thousands of pages of dialogue added in and expanded events. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna say, you guys are just wrong. You are. There's no way to adapt the books as they are. And I haven't read the history of Middle-earth, but I imagine it's just like the Silmarillion. There's no way to adapt those without them taking amazing creative liberties with it. So if that's your complaint about this show, then I'm sorry. I can't agree with you. There's no way to adapt it and make it the way that you'd want it. Because if you had it the way you'd want it, it would be event, time jump, event, with with very little dialogue. Because that's the way to actually adapt it as it's written. So that's my 2 cents on that. But let's get back to the episode of Episode 3. Episode 3 picks up where the story, it doesn't really pick up on Elrond. There's nothing with Elrond, nothing with Durin. So those events are left probably for the next episode, I imagine. But it does pick up with the elf guard, Arondir, I think his name is, and what's going on with him after he was taken with by the orcs. And I loved all that shit. I love what the orcs were doing. I loved the design of the orcs. I thought they looked fantastic. I love that they're hiding in their little makeshift canopies to get out of the sun. I thought that was awesome. I love that you just see what they're doing. They're digging these trenches through what later in the episode you'll see is going to be Mordor, basically. The lands of Mordor is what they're funneling out. At least that's what I think. It was really cool. There was a lot of action in that in those scenes. Didn't love the design of the warg. I thought that looked kind of stupid. It had big, stupid eyes, but it was violent. I mean, this episode really showed a lot of violence that you haven't seen the original Lord of the Rings movies did have violence. They did. There was a lot of decapitations and arrows through eyes and shit. So I guess it's not that far. But this one really had a lot of gritty down to earth violence, which I thought was pretty cool for a change to see that. So if that's where the show's violence is going to go, that's an interesting take for Lord of the Rings. But I really dug his storyline. I love that they just needed to get a view out of the trench to see where they were. And the second they get someone out of there, he gets picked off by an orc with an arrow. Oh my God, that was amazing. And then you get a little bit of hint at I assume one of the main villains of the series. They keep talking about it's not Ardor. I forget the guy's name, but the orcs are saying their leader, and you get a glimpse of this, I don't know, elven or human-looking character walking towards them. I think they're supposed to set up that you assume it's Sauron, but I don't think it's Sauron. I can't imagine the reveal of Sauron will be just like him at an orc camp like that. So I imagine he'll just be like a lesser general of some kind. Maybe one of the ring wraiths down the line, but I don't know who that is. So we'll see in the next episode, hopefully. And then the story obviously jumps. I'm going out of order here. Obviously, this isn't the order of it, but the story jumps to what's going on with Galadriel and Halbrand as they get picked up by the Númenórean ship and taken to Númenor, which looked fucking awesome. I love the design of Númenor. That's this show. All the money goes into the productions of the backgrounds and the special effects and the practical effects with like the orcs and stuff. And every penny was worth it. These sets are awesome. These visuals are awesome. Numenor looked freaking awesome. It said awesome a lot. But the one thing I liked about Numenor was a lot of the time when you go to these locations, you kind of just settle on the main cities there, and they expanded to show, no, this is a full island, because she eventually leaves with Isildur's dad. It was cool to see Isildur. I'll get to that in a minute. To go to where he's from, so they get to ride across the country. And this is one of the negatives of the show. I would say they spent a lot of time just kind of zooming in on this ride across country, showing that Galadriel loves horses, I guess. I don't get the need to put that in there, but whatever. They're trying to do a 50-hour series here, or whatever they said. It's going to be 50-episode series. So if that's the story they got to tell to flesh out something down the line with her loving horses when a horse dies or something, like an Atreyu and Artax and the Swamps of Sadness, or whatever the hell it's called from the never-ending story, then whatever, establish it here, I guess. But yeah, I didn't need that, but it's okay. Whatever. They got to the point where they go to where the old historical records are, and sure enough, they're investigating Sauron's symbol again, and it's not a symbol. It is a map location for the mountain ridge around what will be Mordor, which is, again, when it cuts back to Arondir's story. It kind of fleshes that out. I really dug that. Halbrand's interesting character. So he doesn't want to leave Numenor. He wants to kind of not go back to Middle-earth or anything like that, and he's dropping a lot of hints about who he might be, right? Now, I think a lot of people are going to lean to Sauron here for him, too. It's kind of like WandaVision, where everybody was Mephisto. Everybody's Sauron in the show, so you don't know who you're going with. But, because anybody who knows the history there, Sauron went to Numenor and kind of, like, turned them all into, basically, Melkor acolytes, something along those lines. Yeah, I haven't got there. If it's in the Silmarillion, I haven't got there yet. But so this Halbrand, if he is Sauron, that could be why he wants to stay there, you know. But again, that diverges from what it is, because he's not supposed to be in human form or anything like that when he goes there. He's supposed to be in elf form, I think. But anyways, he's got some violent tendencies, broke some arms, doesn't want to leave, and he's definitely got some shady shit going on with him. But I think in the trailers you saw that he was at least back on Middle-earth, like riding on horses and armor and fighting. So whether or not he's going to be a good guy or a bad guy, I don't know. I think probably not this season, but down the line, if the show continues, he'll be turned into a bad guy. He's one of the kings of men, supposedly, in the Southland, so he might be one of the ring wraiths. He might even be the leader of the ring wraiths, if that's the plot line they kind of rework for him. But anyways, I'm really digging this show. I really want to see where it's going. This is the first episode that kind of feels like they're giving you the plot. It's about fleshing out Mordor as they're creating it. It's about kind of expanding their territory and setting up what's going to be the conflict at the end of this series, I assume. But I'm really digging it. I don't necessarily really know where the story's going for this season at least, but I'm interested to get there. I think it looks great. They've upped the action in this episode. They've given you a little more detail about what's going on while still laying out a bunch of pieces. Now, again, some people would like the series to be a little more coherent to this point about where it's going to go, but I'm okay with it. I'm there for the ride. I know that it's a big picture thing here, and I'm sure it'll make a lot of sense, but I'm really digging it. But the question is for you guys, what did you think of episode 3? Was it better than 1 and 2 for you? For me, it was the best one of the season so far. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the video, click the like button, and I'll get you with another video real soon. See ya.